The act of a cat sleeping next to a human being is one of the most misunderstood phenomena, and, at the same time, one of the most loaded with biological meaning in the relationship between species. For most people, seeing their pet curled up on the blankets is an image of everyday tenderness, a reminder of domestic comfort. However, if we analyse this behaviour through the lens of ethology and evolution, what we witness every night is a statistical anomaly, a break in the laws of nature that have governed feline survival for millions of years. The domestic cat, unlike other species that we have shaped in our image and likeness through selective breeding, retains a genome and an instinctive system almost identical to that of its wild ancestors, Felis libica. This means that, even though it shares your sofa and eats from a ceramic bowl, its brain continues to operate under the rules of a solitary predator, living in a world of constant danger. To understand the magnitude of a cat choosing to sleep with you, we must first break down what sleep is for a feline. In the animal kingdom, sleep is not a state of pleasure, but a state of extreme risk. A cat is a mesopredator, which implies that it is in the middle of the food chain. It hunts small prey, but is prey to larger predators. In the wild, the moment a cat closes its eyes to enter deep sleep is the moment when its mortality increases exponentially. Its senses, finely tuned to detect the slightest rustle of a leaf or a shift in the direction of the wind, shut down. Its reaction capacity decreases drastically, and its body, a precision machine designed for explosive escape, becomes heavy and inert. For this reason, the primary instinct of any feline is to seek absolute solitude to rest. A wild cat would never sleep near another creature, unless it were its own offspring, because any other body represents an uncontrollable variable, a potential attack or competition for space. When your cat enters your room and jumps onto your bed, it is carrying out an act of rebellion against its own biological programming. It is leaving behind the high corners, enclosed spaces, and clear escape routes that its instinct dictates as safe places to place itself on an open surface next to a giant. You are that giant. For a cat, a human being is a massive creature, often clumsy during sleep, that moves without control, that may kick or roll over accidentally. The risk of being crushed or injured by a sleeping human is real, and the cat knows it. And yet, it decides that proximity to your body is more valuable than its own physical safety. This decision does not stem from laziness or a simple search for warmth, although warmth is a secondary benefit. It arises from a neurobiological reconfiguration of what the cat considers its safe territory. Science has begun to unravel this mystery through attachment studies that were once reserved exclusively for primates or dogs. Research from Oregon State University in 2019 was a turning point. By applying secure base tests, it was discovered that most cats do not see their owners simply as providers of resources, but as emotional anchors. In developmental psychology, a secure base is that figure which allows an individual to relax and explore because they know that in the face of danger, that figure will respond. What is fascinating is that the cat has transferred this concept, which in nature exists only between mother and offspring for a few months, into a permanent relationship with a being of another species. By sleeping at your side, the cat is declaring that its central nervous system has identified your heartbeat and your scent as the ultimate signal of the absence of danger. This phenomenon manifests in an almost mystical way during the early hours of the morning. There is a behaviour observed by ethologists that occurs when the human is in their deepest phase of sleep. The cat, whose sleep cycles are much shorter and lighter, usually wakes up several times during the night. In those moments, the cat does not immediately get up to look for food or play. It often simply remains still, watching. It performs a silent vigilance, a monitoring of your state. At an instinctive level, the cat is confirming that its environment remains under control. Upon feeling your steady breathing, its own alert system decreases. It is a symbiosis of calm. The cat sleeps because you are there, and you, often without knowing it, sleep better because the presence of the cat regulates your own stress. It is a circle of trust that breaks the barrier of language and species. We must also consider that cats are not social animals by obligation, like dogs or humans. A dog accompanies you because its biology prevents it from being alone. Its survival has always depended on the pack. The cat, on the other hand, is the master of self-sufficiency. It does not need you to hunt, it does not need you to groom itself, and in a natural environment it would not need you to protect itself while it sleeps. Its domestication was a voluntary process. They approached us 10,000 years ago, and they decided to stay. Therefore, every time a cat chooses your bed, it is renewing a coexistence contract that is not signed by necessity, but by a form of affection that science is only just beginning to name. It is not the dependent love we usually imagine, it is a surrender of its independence. The most free and distrustful animal in the world decides to be vulnerable at your side. It is often said that cats are distant or selfish, but that is a mistaken anthropomorphic interpretation. The cat's distance is actually its natural state of survival. That is why, when that distance is reduced to zero during the night, the gesture takes on monumental significance. The cat is turning off its predator radars. It is trusting that, if something happens in the darkness, you will be the one to react, or perhaps that both of you are now a defensive unit. By placing its back against your leg or its head near your chest, it seeks contact with your vital points, not to attack them, but to synchronize with them. It is pure tactile communication. The purring that sometimes accompanies this moment is not only a sign of happiness, it is a self-regulation mechanism that helps heal tissues and calm the nervous system, both its own and yours. Understanding this changes the narrative of what happens in our homes. You're not simply an owner who provides food, you are the guardian of its peace. In a world that, for a cat, is still a jungle full of strange noises, artificial lights, and potential threats, your presence is the only place where its guard can be lowered. That nightly surrender is the greatest compliment a human being can receive from nature. It is the recognition that you have achieved what millions of years of evolution tried to prevent, that a solitary predator finds safety in the company of another. Finally, one must reflect on the loneliness of the hunter. Your cat's ancestors lived and died in perpetual vigilance. The accumulated fatigue of always being alert is an enormous biological burden. By offering it a space in your bed, you're giving it something its ancestors never had: sleep without fear. That is the true core of the bond. It is not the daytime petting or the games with strings. It is the shared silence of the night where the cat stops being a survival machine and becomes, simply, a being at rest. The next time you feel its weight on the mattress, remember that you are witnessing an evolutionary miracle, a bridge stretched over an abyss of primal instincts, where safety is no longer a hiding place in the brush, but the simple fact of being close to you. Science has begun to unravel this mystery through attachment studies that were once reserved exclusively for primates or dogs. Research from Oregon State University in 2019 was a turning point. By applying secure base tests, it was discovered that most cats do not see their owners simply as providers of resources, but as emotional anchors. In developmental psychology, a secure base, is that figure which allows an individual to relax and explore because they know that, in the face of danger, that figure will respond. What is fascinating is that the cat has transferred this concept, which